Hello there. You're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to be talking about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
We'll also be discussing the 28 Days Later trilogy in honor of Danny Boyle and Alex Garland's renewed collaboration on the latest entry, 28 Years Later. We'll start out with the box office breakdown for June 20th to the 22nd. How to Train Your Dragon remains on top with 36 million, had a 56% drop, but it's still good enough to retain the crown and bring its domestic total to 160 million. There you go.
Now strong. I'm hoping that the international numbers do even better. Be great. In second place, 28 Years Later, in its debut with 30 million.
And after that, Elio taking the record for lowest opening for a Pixar film with 20 million.
That's so sad. It's followed in fourth with Lilo and Stitch, 9.7 million.
Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, 6.4 million.
Materialists, 5.8 million.
Ballerina, 4.5 million.
Karate Kid Legends, 2.3 million, bringing its domestic total to 50 million.
And Final Destination Bloodlines, 1.8 million. Its domestic total is 135 million, and it's worldwide 280 million, which is almost a full 100 million more than what was previously the highest grossing film in that franchise. So we will certainly be getting more Final Destination films. I probably guaranteed it 2 more films. As long as they can keep the budgets lower and reasonable, we're going to be seeing a resurgence of Final Destination.
Yep. And in last place, number 10th, Kubera, 1.7 million. It is a Bollywood film.
Indeed. And our predictions for June 27th to the 29th, F1 the movie and Megan 2.0 are coming out. I think it's clear that F1 is going to be the victor of the weekend. But you have a decision to make, Dylan.
I do.
Continuation of our box office draft update episode where you were trying to decide whether or not F1 would replace one of the films on your roster. Dylan, have you come to a decision?
Dude, I'm tearing my fucking hair out over this. God. What do you predict is going to make this weekend?
This weekend, I'll say 65 million.
God.
Maybe a little higher. Maybe it gets to 70 million.
God. I don't know. I've been thinking about it for so much. I'm gonna do it. I have to make risks here. I have to take risks.
Oh my goodness!
I'm replacing Mission Impossible 8 with F1. It's the last chance to make any money. No other movies coming out this year are going to possibly do any good. I have to go for it. They're going on like a crazy publicity campaign right now this week leading up to the movie. It's got star power. It's got international power, where I think Mission Impossible didn't have as much international power. I think their international totals or their domestic totals will be similar, and I'm just hoping that the F1 international numbers will be bigger because F1 is more of an international product than Mission Impossible. God, and I'm hearing pretty good reviews for it. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm replacing Mission Impossible 8 with F1. Final answer. I think worst case scenario, I lose like 50 million on it. I think it'll do like 50 to 60 million less than Mission Impossible 8. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, it could be hundreds more, which, I mean, I need all the help I can get right now. So I'm taking the risk. I'm going to go for it.
So we know Final Reckoning will finish around 600 mil. So you're hoping F1 will match that and then go far beyond it. And what do we think is realistic here? Is it 700 mil, 800 mil?
I don't know.
I mean, we'll see. So it comes out this weekend, and then it'll face some heavy hitters in the summer. Jurassic World, Superman, later in July, Fantastic Four. So will it be able to have a leggy run like Top Gun Maverick? Probably not. Will it even start out at the same heights as Top Gun Maverick?
Probably not.
Almost certainly not. Again, it'll get maybe 70 mil, 80 mil on the high ends, but it definitely won't break 100 mil for its opening. So I don't know. We'll see. But I commend you for going for the risk. I mean, that's what you got to do at this point, right? You got to go
It
for the
makes it
Hail
more
Mary.
interesting, right? It'd be lame if I said no.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure. So F1, the movie, we will now be tracking that much more closely since it is part of the roster. Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, crazy. Tom
Mm,
Cruise, apologies, you have been kicked out of
yeah.
the draft this time around. Wow. So two big replacements on your roster from the start of the year. We'll see whether they're able to help out. Megan 2.0 was never on your radar, huh? You didn't think that would do very well?
No, it's coming out this weekend, and I think it's going to do about like 25 million.
Yeah, I think something like that. I will say, I just saw the trailer for the first time in front of 28 years later.
Uh huh.
Um, I think it was maybe a materialist or something. But either way, it was. There's some people behind me that like commented on every trailer after it finished for Megan 2.0, and there were two ladies probably around our age. They were like, "I'm never gonna see that movie. That looks terrible." And I was like, "Ooh, ooh,
They're going the Terminator 2 route. She's the hero now. She's the
yeah,"
good guy
but
fighting a different robot.
poorly executed. It seems like
They're going
because
full Terminator 2. They
I
made her
don't know that
taller
it'll do very well. So yeah, probably I'll say 20 mil. I think it can hit that, but it's definitely gonna be overshadowed this weekend.
by hopefully F1, which I'm God, please be a good product. Please do good in IMAX. Oh my God. I'm fucking begging
I
for it,
mean, I'll be
man.
there. I'll be supporting it. I'll be part of the numbers.
I won't be there. Can you believe that shit? I'm gonna be out of town.
Well, you'll come back. You'll help out the legs. The
I'll
second
see
we
you
can drop,
eventually.
you'll make it a little softer.
Yeah.
Um, but all right, let's talk now about the trilogy where the rage virus has infected Great Britain. So 28 days later, it came out in 2002, directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland. So you and I had not seen any of these films before last week. Is that right?
This is correct. I watched all three in one day.
Which is wild. And how was that experience?
It was fun. I was journaling while I was watching. I was, taking notes. I was having a good time.
You were journaling while you were watching?
Yeah.
Interesting.
What? You gonna judge me?
You weren't fully locked in and engaged
I
in the
was
film.
watching.
How can you be watching? Are you either your sentences are completely crooked and not lined up, or you had to look down in order to write within the lines, and therefore you weren't looking at the movie?
No, I was watching.
Uh,
You're too much of a stickler.
I'm just saying, like that's a lot of brain power to be because you're actively thinking of things and then writing it down.
Yeah.
Like that's not even just passive
I'm a
scrolling.
pretty smart guy, Ryan. I have a lot of brain
Okay,
power. Yeah.
sure. So 28 days later,
Uh-huh.
of the parts that you actually watched, apparently, what were your
All
thoughts?
right, buddy. I liked it. I thought the stylization was very cool. I think the way it was shot was really interesting because it has a feeling of like it feels like a low budget movie with a high budget. Because
Yeah,
obviously, when you look at the production design, it is insane
I mean, yeah,
what
even
they're
them
getting
just
away with here.
being able to get uh, these famous places in London on
Mm,
standstill.
yeah,
So,
but they still got like that rough and tumble feel of that like digital, like very low end, low quality digital camera that they're using, which
oh
is
yeah,
very very fun and helps with like aids that feeling a lot of just like the very jittery, very intense feeling that they're trying to go for. And
100%.
overall, I think I just had a good time. I think it's a good movie. I had fun.
Had fun. There we go. That's all you can ask for sometimes. Yeah, I agree. The aesthetic is great. Like I really like it. Again, there's parts where it's hard to really make out some of the stuff that's in the film because it's so low res and everything.
Hmm.
But just that whole aesthetic, the grungy, gritty sort of aesthetic that they have, which the music plays into as well.
Hmm.
Um, just a lot of the again, they have a lot of shaky cam stuff going on, a lot of Dutch camera, Dutch angle stuff.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of it just feels like it's the low budget, micro budget spirit, but obviously we have great filmmakers behind the camera, great writing in there as well. I loved uh, the overall like message there. I mean, fairly simple in apocalypse films, but them being able to have this little found family and discover
Hmm.
that there's more to live for than just trying to survive. Like
Yeah.
that, I think was really well done, well rendered throughout this film. Um, so yeah, it just has a great like feel to it. a great atmosphere, very unique, and all the filmmaking techniques added to that. Like the other thing that stuck out, other than the mini DV stuff that they shot it on, um, that shutter speed, like the fast shutter speed they had to make the zombies and their movement, just seems so, I don't know, like crisp, but also choppy. Like it was just great. Oh, look at that. He's
I got a little.
flashing
Yep, I got my little mini
the
DV
camera right
camera
there.
right here.
Let's go make a new 28
We could.
Days Later movie. Let's
I
get
mean,
it.
this thing's broken, but I'm
Well,
working on fixing it.
once you get that finished, we'll do 28 minutes later. Right after
That's
the
great.
monkey pops out of the lab, we'll
Yeah,
we'll show that story.
that'd be sick.
Um, what happened to that monkey? Did he get killed there, and then it was like all the humans? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think they
The
kill
monkey
it.
being, oh,
Right.
that's right. Patient zero, we
But
couldn't even
what are your
survive for a
thoughts on the
little bit.
opening scene?
With the monkey,
Yeah.
and then the animal rights activists that inadvertently caused the outbreak
Yeah.
by trying to free some monkeys. I thought it was decent. What I thought was compelling was right beforehand they had all these scenes of riots and social unrest that they're showing to the monkey, and you could have
Mhm.
believed in the beginning, which is what they wanted you to do, is that these are the scenes of the world falling apart from the outbreak. But no, it's just like that's normal. That's just humans when we're like regular life.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought that was pretty compelling. And then obviously they have the virus itself is the rage virus, so
Hmm.
undertones there of uh, like they're not even zombies, they're not undead, they're just people, but with presumably whatever this virus is doing is just amping up their rage and anger and taking away any inhibitions that they have. So when they're just like attacking and eating people and everything, it's that innate primal instinct of just rage apparently that's
Hmm.
coming out. So I think that's another
Yeah.
cool element to this whole franchise. Like yeah, they're zombies. The shorthand of it is they're zombies, but um, they're not actually undead. Like they're just people that are sick with this particular virus. So I think the world building with that is compelling. What do you think?
Yeah, I like the stylization of the zombies. I think they're a little more unique than like zombies you've seen in the past, and I think it makes it a little more of a fresh take, a little more like high voltage. And I
Yeah,
think the filmmaking style that Danny Boyle went with definitely like accompanies that very very
dude, the
well.
manic editing.
Hmm.
I mean, that definitely helps out. Yeah, again, that like fast shutter angle stuff was great, especially in the rain. The rain sequences
Hmm.
is so good.
Oh
Love
yeah,
that. So yeah, all that was great. Obviously, there's that iconic sequence of Killian Murphy walking around the barren streets of London, just
yeah,
completely empty and emptied out. Which at that
dude,
point, I'm sure,
really really very similar to opening of The Walking Dead. Am I right? Guy wakes up in a coma from a coma from before the zombie apocalypse, and he's walking around. There's a zombie apocalypse going on. Someone
there you
copy
go.
somebody.
But it's just a great narrative device of like we'll
Sure.
skip the initial downfall and then we'll just like discover the world that has fallen alongside this character that also is discovering for the first time that the world has fallen. So it's a great little narrative device. I wonder which one. I guess this one maybe came out first, or because Walking Dead comic
Yeah, I
I
don't.
think came
I'm
out
saying somebody
right
copied
around the same
somebody.
time.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know
they were
who
very close
copied it.
together. There's some inspiration there, but yeah, I think it's a great way to open that up. And then yeah, him just walking around this city completely empty to people, which is very unnatural. Something that like no one would have seen on film at that point or in person, which is compelling now that we have seen stuff like that from
Yep.
COVID. All those images of again empty streets, and then the wildlife was able to come in for a little bit in just those few weeks, which we didn't see in this one. 20 days later, there's just like the pigeons and birds going around. But yeah, definitely a very iconic scene,
Yeah.
well deserved in its status. Um, but yeah, and then we see him go into that church.
I love that scene when he goes into the
That
church and there's bodies everywhere. First off, it's already intimidating.
terrifying.
Then he just says hello, and then the two jump up and look at him like their mouths are open, like they're apes themselves.
Yeah,
Dude, that shit was
truly
awesome.
terrifying. His little, just like in the shock, he couldn't even scream anything like that. It's just such an unsettling sight of them
Yeah.
immediately like whipping their heads around and looking like that. Oh, terrifying. And then that priest emerges and he's trying to be like, hey, like father, father.
Father, please, Father.
And he's about to attack, so he had to smack him. And then he felt bad about it. Poor guy. He was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And then starts
Sorry,
running
Father.
out. Yeah. And then he gets rescued by these two survivors
Hmm.
with a lot of Molotovs. that are able to dispatch those zombies that were chasing them.
Mm.
And then that kicks off the rest of the journey where he's with them. That one dude gets taken out brutally.
Dude,
He did not hesitate.
what the hell?
He said he got
Like,
infected, a little bit of
do you
blood got
not
in
have
that
a
wound.
gun or something? Did you have to hack him to pieces?
Yeah, it was
Because,
brutal.
like, I thought you were like friends with this guy. I thought you guys were like at least a little close. Perhaps not. Maybe you just met him or something, the same way you just met Killian Murphy. But like, damn, could you just like just do anything else? Like, oh my god, it was rough.
Yeah, it was very hardcore, but it's a
I would
great.
not do that to you, Ryan. I would find the thing is, I know the rage virus definitely like takes on quickly, so I know that time is of the essence there. So I get it. But
Mhm.
Ryan, if that was you, I'd find a better way to do it.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I wouldn't hack you to death. Or if I did, I'd get one clean swing in there so you wouldn't feel anything. I would not like go for your arms first.
Well, I thought she was just trying to like, oh, cut it off, and that way it like
Yeah.
prevents the infection from getting to the rest of the body. But she
No, she's
kept going.
going for it.
She said, "I
She
just
was
wanted you to
fucking going
feel
for it,
some
man.
pain before I took out the rest of you." It's like, goodness, that's insane. But it does a good job of setting up her character where, yeah, she's like, I am just trying to survive. I will do the same thing to you. I do the same thing to my parents, my boyfriend, my whoever. Like, does not matter. You got to take them out immediately. I'll do it in a heartbeat. And then obviously that comes around at the end when she, has been part of that family and then gets to know him better a little more. And then she's like, yeah, there's more to life than just surviving. And then when he's going crazy, gouging out the eyes of that one military dude,
Oh, dude.
um, and then he stands up and he's in shadow, so she can't really see what's going on there. And then he walks towards her, which I would have given a little like, hey, by the way, I can I can speak, I'm good, I'm not actually a zombie. But he was like, let's just test this out. So he walks towards her. She's about to lift up the machete and then
Dude,
sees,
what is with the eye gouging in these two movies? In
I
these
don't know.
first two movies?
It
Oh,
just
dude, it's brutal.
eyes are a big part of it apparently. With the rage
Yeah,
virus and then the
goddamn.
two different colored eyes in 28 weeks later. Um, but then Killian Murphy's piercing blue eyes. She sees those and she's like, oh, he's not infected. And then he goes, that was longer than a heartbeat. So nice. I thought that was a great little callback. It was
Mhm.
lovely. Um, but yeah, what a turn the movie takes as well once we get to the soldiers and what was
Yeah.
supposed to be this safe sanctuary for them. And then again, within 4 weeks, these soldiers are already going crazy, being like, we have no women
Society's
here.
gone. We have to
So now
rebuild
we need to
society. We need
just,
women.
yeah, take the first women we come across. Literally, I mean, they were sending out the radio message in order to lure people there, like lure women there so
Yeah.
they could take them and make them sex slaves and whatever they were planning on doing.
Mhm.
Insane, truly insane.
Brutal.
Um,
I was surprised to see Brendan Gleeson in this movie. I didn't know he was in it. So
I
him
know,
popping
yeah,
up, I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's
it's a good
awesome.
surprise.
He's also
Yeah, I mean,
great.
everyone knows like Killian Murphy's in, it, but Neil B. Harris being in this, I had no idea. And then yeah, Brendan Gleeson, so it was cool seeing some familiar faces pop up there.
Dude, Brendan Gleeson gets the short end of the stick on that one, man. One
That's
little
rough.
blood drop falls
One
into his
blood drop.
eye. Fuck, man.
Yeah, that was brutal. I just remember the like gasp he did once it like landed in his eye, too. Was I don't know something about that just hit so hard.
It's just like that defeated,
It's just
like,
yeah,
it's
it's just
more
like
than just it hurt that it hit his eye. It's like, it's all
complete
gone.
accident.
It's
He knows
done. I'm dead.
exactly like what this means.
Yeah. I'm dead. I'm a dead man now.
Terrible, truly terrible. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's the other thing too. I don't know any other like zombie media where it just happens so quickly.
Yeah.
15 seconds, you're gone. You're already bugging out.
I think
You
that
have
goes hard.
no time
I
to
think that's
like
awesome.
say
There's no
goodbye.
time to
Really,
even like, yeah, there's no time for any of that. There's no time for drama. There's just like, you're fucking crazy
yeah.
now. You're gonna tear people to
Run, get away
shreds.
from me, kill me. Like that's all you can do in those moments
Yeah.
before you turn. Um, so yeah, I thought that was very effective. Other moments in this film that were like standouts. I thought the grocery store montage was very fun.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
I thought that was enjoyable. I don't believe that there would be a fully stocked grocery store 4 weeks into this thing in the middle of downtown London. I find that
True,
troubling to believe.
kind of true, but again, you never.
I do understand that this is a virus that spreads quick, so maybe it was just like a wave of things going on all at once, and then it was
Like people
over.
just have to evacuate, and there's not many survivors, and so
Yeah,
maybe it's just left standing there.
it's
But
possible.
I mean, yeah, I can see that. I can overlook that. That was a fun little moment. And then
Yeah, it was
the
enjoyable.
the flat tire sequence, which I thought was really funny when Killian Murphy kept going like, "Why are we going down this tunnel? This
Yeah,
deep dark tunnel? Like this
seems
will
like a
never
bad
go
idea.
bad." Uh, and then they're like having fun, but then he gets that flat tire, and the zombies approaching. I was tense. I was edge of
The
my seat.
rats
I was like,
first,
"Oh my god,
like the rats running from them is a great way to lead into that.
absolutely!" And then you just see the shadows on the wall as they keep approaching. God, that was tense. That was really well done. Um, so yeah, again, I just think the aesthetic of it was great. The stylism was great. Again, the cast I thought was really solid. And then just a little inversion they had with those soldiers there, and them becoming like the main final obstacle that they had to use. Like Killian Murphy even used that one chained up infected that they were
Mhm.
using just to test when is he going to starve. Um, Used him as an ally basically to get rid of these soldiers. I thought all that was really well done. So I enjoyed
Yeah.
it. I liked it a
Okay.
lot.
Nice.
Uh, how many rage viruses out of 5 are you giving this, Dylan?
I'm giving it a very, very solid 3.5.
Okay, there you go. I'm giving it 4 rage viruses out of 5.
All right. I think we both liked it. Pretty good chunk.
Indeed. All right, 28 weeks later. So this one did not have Danny Boyle or Alex Garland in the fold.
Or Killian Murphy.
Yeah, or Kelly Murphy. So a whole new cast, whole new team coming in there to expand this world. So what did you think about this one? Initial thought.
I thought overall it was a bit of a step down, very slightly. I think there were some plot points that were definitely like there were some holes in there, whereas I think the first one was a little bit tighter when it comes to the plot. Um, I will say though, this movie still bangs. It's still awesome. Like there's the zombies are still cool. There's still great action. The characters are at least somewhat interesting. I still like found myself entertained, which is good.
Yeah, I would say I was definitely still entertained. I think they did a good enough job trying to emulate the
Hmm.
style that was
Absolutely,
established
yeah.
in that first film, and there were definitely stretches of the movie where I was like, "This is extremely compelling." Like, I love that they're trying to explore this particular topic or this dilemma amongst the characters. But on the whole, I think it is, yeah, a very clear step down. I think
Yeah.
this one, there's just a lot of moments that strain credulity where you're like, this is just the dumbest possible thing any character could do in this situation. And they just did it. And
Hmm.
then the next 5 decisions are the same way, where it's like only the most stupid things possible. And as you know, that's one of my big gripes with certain like horror films or just the genre in general, where it's like these are not smart people doing smart things and still running into like obstacles. It's them doing like stupid things just to allow for the next kill to happen or the next fright to happen. And so I always just unplug a little bit when that happens.
Hmm.
And yeah, 20 weeks later was a huge offender in that. But the opening sequence, let's talk about that
Dude, that
because
thing
that was
bangs.
remarkable. That
Yeah.
was fantastic.
It's so good. It's iconic. I've seen that opening sequence before because of how iconic it is. I think
Mhm.
that is in the first one. The iconic scene is obviously Killian Murphy walking around the empty streets of London. I think in this movie, the iconic scene is that opening scene. It's
Has
just
to
so
be.
awesome. Oh, him running away from his wife. Oh man, dude, that's rough.
It
And the
is.
music, oh, dude,
Music slaps.
they
To
are
be fair.
cooking with that music. It is so good.
But yeah, just that yeah, that like incredible dilemma that they have there. I mean, you can see when he's about to make that decision and then closes the door, it just guts him. And then it's like he's still not even out of it. Like he needs to try and survive. He has to run that whole field. Then there's the other guy at the boat who's not able to make it either. So it's like everyone that he was just sitting there with having dinner, they're all dead, including his wife, who he left, who saw him leaving. Like that's just brutal. That's terrible. And then they set that up of now he reconnects with the kids, and then he has to explain to them what happens. And obviously he's
He's gonna lie.
gonna bends the truth a little bit and be like, "Oh yeah,
That's
she got
awesome.
bitten and wasn't able to make it."
I
And
couldn't get
then
her, man. I
yeah,
tried. I just
and
couldn't
then you're
get to
like,
her.
"Oh yeah, this is gonna come back around somehow." And then very quickly, those kids just up and leave the quarantine zone they had there,
Yeah.
and then they go to the house, and there's the mom. She lives. She's alive, and then she gets brought back, and then the kids
Mhm.
are trying to confront the dad.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here with this like human dilemma between the family, that was pretty compelling,
Yeah.
and they
That was
sort
interesting.
of speed ran it.
They
Like we
did.
see
They
one
absolutely speed
scene
ran
of
it.
the kids being like, "You lied, we trusted you."
Yeah.
Last time they see the dad, he dies after that. He goes to see the mom, like his wife. They don't even
Yeah.
talk really. I mean, they're like looking in the eyes. He's apologizing.
Mhm.
He
Kiss of
kisses
death.
her, gets infected, and then brutally gouges her eyes
Oh,
out.
dude.
Terrible. And then
Rough.
he's off running, spreading the outbreak and everything. Which how was he able to do if he was in that room? He wouldn't have been able to get out. But whatever. Um,
He found a way. He found a way.
yeah, but that
Found a
was the start of things being
way.
like exceedingly silly. They explained how he got in, which was great because he was like, "Oh no, I got key cards, everything."
Mhm.
Which yeah, I don't know that they would go
Maybe
into
he
like
maybe as a zombie he knows how to use his key card. Bing bong.
maybe, but yeah, it was just like that was a very compelling thing. We didn't really get to explore that too much.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then I'm of two minds of this because again, on one hand, like the actual set piece itself of the fall of that compound
Mhm.
is pretty well done. Like
Yeah,
especially
dude.
once all the survivors are running out in the street, all the
Oh
infected are
my
running out in the
god, dude.
street,
It's awesome.
and all the military people are having to like snipe them, and then eventually they're just like shoot them all, kill them all, like
Dude,
everything that moves.
that part's
Um,
awesome.
like that is really
Idris
well done.
Elba, man.
Idris Elba, there goes that wipe where it's like going from one side of the screen, and then it just closes in on him,
Mhm.
and then we see on the other side is all the chaos. Incredible, great, but again, just so many stupid decisions to get us there, and things I don't believe either. Like there's a one cop that, or not cop, it's just the military guy that was trying to tell the kids, "Hey, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go investigate this thing." He leaves, immediately gets bitten by the dad, and then immediately goes back to the kids, and then the doctor lady shows up, shoots him, and then gets the kids out and runs with them. And it's like, where was the dad in that situation? How did she not come across him? Um, like stuff like that just didn't make sense. They gathered
Who's to
up
say it was the
all the
dad?
humans, all the
Did they
civilians.
show the guy getting
I think it
attacked
was
by the
literally
dad?
the dad. Yeah, that was
Okay.
attacking him. Um,
So be it.
what? So they gathered all the humans and put them together in some large room that
Mhm.
has other entrances and exits. So, like, what was the plan here? Like, if the code red plan is to put them all in one place, why would you not make sure that there's only a single entrance and exit if you're trying to like corral them all to make sure they're
Hey
not
man,
infected and they don't
small
gain
government,
anything?
you know, sometimes they just don't know what they're doing.
Like, that's insane. And again, I don't believe that like the one dude, the dad, would be able to get through uh, all those hallways and everything. And it's like none of the military people were now aware. They had these cameras
He's
everywhere.
killing
They could
people as he's
see.
going, like, he's spreading it, you know? And he's the one that ends up on the other end, you know, 'cause plot, of course, but there is, like, a spread already going on quite
But
a bit.
he's the one that starts it. But I'm saying he gets out of that room and then starts attacking the military people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do they not? How are they not aware? Why wasn't it more heavily guarded for this outside lady that was brought in?
Yeah.
And I guess she just found out. Well, she should have known because she was like running tests, and she's like, "Oh, I think." She's like, "No, she's definitely a carrier, but she's immune." But it's like they wouldn't have had more guards or more just people keeping an eye on her.
Mhm.
I don't know. Again, it was just a lot of silly stuff. So they can make the set piece happen. They can make the plot of the
Yeah, they
outbreak
rushed a lot of the
confused.
filming here.
And honestly, the most important thing is why did they start bringing people back 28 weeks after this whole thing? Wait a
Yeah.
couple of years. Like, what are we doing? They're still like bringing together biohazards and
Yeah.
clearing out bodies. Why would you start?
They're claiming that every single zombie is dead, right? They're claiming
Yeah,
that
so
every
like, oh, it was a
single zombie has
starvation.
been
But
killed.
it's like even if that's the case, which I don't know, I guess I don't know the science of it, but if there's still bodies around, if all the bodies haven't been collected, then
Mhm.
wouldn't there still be the risk of infection from like a
Infection.
dead
Yeah.
body going to a human? So it's
Yeah.
like we need all the bodies removed and cleared and like all that stuff
I
before
think the idea was
we bring
supposed to
people.
be they're bringing in people into this small section that they've cleared out so that they can start expanding that cleared section and slowly clearing out more and more. They didn't explain it that. That would have been a good explanation of like you're here so that you're like part of the crew here that is working to rebuild this area while also expanding that that quarantine zone of just like growing it more and more
Yeah.
until all of London is now like reclaimed and clean, and they don't say that. They just say like we're bringing people back. People are back in.
Yeah,
They're
welcome back
here.
home. Here we go. So a bit silly, I'd say.
Sure.
And then we get Jeremy Renner meets up with the kids and the
Hmm.
doctor. And he's like, "We got to get out of here because they're gonna bomb everything."
Yeah.
Which
Here's
at
the
that
part that
point,
I didn't
why
like
don't
is
they just nuke them?
yeah,
Like, if
absolutely.
they're that crazy already to be like, kill everything that moves, firebomb it all, it's like just nuke the city at that point.
I think nuking takes a while to scramble, but uh,
But if you
my
nuke them because
point of
the
contention
can't get
is
that far out of the
so
city or
Jeremy
out of the
Renner is like he takes a few shots. He takes out a few like non-zombified people. It's shown. So he's like willing to do it, but he's like against it, which is why he leaves. He doesn't like
yeah,
agree with the action. So then he's helping these people try and just get out instead of like following his orders. And in doing so, he's decided to take out his own people because he shoots the one guy that's on the rooftop, who is presumably just another American soldier who he probably knows. He just
he
doesn't
does.
care. He's just
He
gonna
does do
kill.
that. I don't know that he kills any of the innocent civilians though. When he's
He
like
does.
sniping from the roof, I
He
think he was
definitely
still
does.
only focusing on like the zombies that were running
No, he
through.
definitely shoots. He absolutely 100% shoots. Like just people running around. They show him shooting people running around.
Are you
100%.
sure?
100%.
I don't think they would do that.
100% they did.
They're framing him as like the guy that's like, oh, this is too far. I don't think they would show him
100% they
shooting
did. I watched him
the
do it. He
humans.
shoots like four people in a row that are like he's like aiming for zombies and he hits people that aren't zombies.
Right. Well, that might be the case if like they accidentally
He's
miss
saying it's all
something.
fucked because he can't tell who's who.
Yeah.
That's why he leaves. Is because he's trying to just hit the zombies and he's just like, I can't do this. Like I'm not hitting them. They frame it as he doesn't want to shoot innocent civilians, but he's going to
Well,
end
yeah,
up
that's a
doing it if he
different thing.
stays there.
That's what I'm saying. Like the
I'm not
intention
saying
was
he's
definitely not. He's
sure,
like, all right, now I'm going to start scoping out and shooting anyone. Like he was
but he
still
does
going for
shoot
zombies.
civilians.
He was
He just
trying to get
does
zombies.
100%.
Sure. We'll go back. We'll freeze frame it. We'll zoom and
You
enhance.
be my guest.
Figure out what's
You don't
going on.
have to. They show him doing it. Like it's the whole point. That's the point of the scene. I watched it.
Mhm. Okay. Sure. Are you going to continue with your point, or what are we doing?
No, I made my point clear.
That he shoots another officer, another person in
Yeah.
uniform.
If his whole argument was that he didn't want to shoot civilians, why is he willing to shoot his fellow armed soldier here?
Because he was going to kill him.
Yeah, but that guy is just shooting anything that moves. He doesn't know that it's Jeremy Renner. But this guy knows. Jeremy Renner knows that is an American soldier. So is it just at that point fend for yourself? I guess.
I think so. I think that's what was going on. I don't know if he had
Does he
any
not
way to
have radio
communicate with the
comms?
guy. Yeah, I don't know. And even if he did, the guy probably wouldn't have been okay with that. If he's like, "Hey, I'm trying to move these people that are not infected," and that one dude probably had his orders, and he's probably scared, and he's like, "I'm just going to shoot anything and everything,"
Mm-hmm.
which is what he was doing. He tried. I
I
mean,
don't
he was
know.
going
I
to shoot a
wasn't.
kid.
I wasn't solid on
He was
that
taking
part.
shots at a 12-year-old child that was running around,
Yeah, I wasn't
zigzagging,
solid on that part.
and he got.
He did get got. I
Yeah,
was not
what you
100%.
what you think of the dad just showing up for random jump scares here and there, and then
Yeah, I don't know how he's still making it through, man. I don't know how. It's just fully plot armor of just like it has to be the dad at the end. Like it has
even
to.
after the bombing, like he was just chilling, hiding in the alleyway, and he was like, "I'm good,
Yeah,
I'm alive."
I think it's just complete plot armor. I think it's perfectly fair to just put in other zombies throughout the rest of the movie as opposed to just making the dad every time popping up.
Yeah,
I don't think you really need like the emotional through line of the dad showing up at the end. I think it's fine to just have it be a zombie.
agreed. So yeah, but the cool part of the film was when that helicopter started
Dude,
chopping up some zombies.
sick. I don't know nothing about flying helicopters. I don't know if it's possible. But sick, dude.
Yeah, I feel like
Awesome.
at a certain point that would start messing up the
Yeah, the
ability of it
rotate.
to stay in the air,
Yeah.
but
It doesn't matter.
looked real cool.
So cool.
But yeah, and then we go through the rest of the movie again. Renner's trying to get them somewhere, and then they come across all this gas. They need to get into a car. It doesn't start, so he's like, I'll go out and help push. And then he gets freaking burned alive. It's insane.
Yeah, that's tough.
So rip to him. Then we have this night vision sequence, which I thought was kind of atrocious.
Yeah, I can understand that. It just looks rough. It's definitely like a little like ooh, like creepy looking when you look at like the kids like screaming and then there's like bodies between them, but you see them screaming and stuff. It's just kind of like ooh, like it's startling at first, but I think they do it too long.
Yeah, they do it too long, and it's just very silly. Of like at a certain point, like uh, there's bodies there. Just hold on to the side of the escalator and walk down the stairs.
Yeah,
Like
do they have to
not
keep
that serious.
screaming?
Yeah, and then they all fall down, and then
Yeah,
they somehow disappear. They don't answer her for some reason. The kid
yeah.
just like doesn't respond. It just makes no sense. And then of course the dad shows up randomly to start attacking, not by biting or anything, but by hitting with the butt of the gun the doctor lady to kill her.
Rest in
Sure.
peace, Roseburn. It's the rage virus. They're just attacking.
Well, we see them like go and bite and stuff, but using a weapon to just like
I suppose.
bash over and over, like that was kind of a departure. But then he does bite the kid.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just thought the whole sequence was very poorly done
Yeah,
and a bit silly. And then he's running away, and then she's like chasing him and is like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Am I infected?" It's like we as the audience already know. Like obviously he's fine if the mom was immune and whatnot.
yeah. They have the
So
same genetic disorder or whatever, but he's a
yeah,
carrier.
so now he's a carrier, and he goes to the rendezvous point with the helicopter. So Doyle's friend, Jeremy Renner's friend, is there, and now he's just chill. Now he's like, "Okay,
He's
come
like,
on,
all
boy.
right, fine, I'll
Even though
take
my
you.
friend is dead, you guys are still here." The kid has a freaking bite in his neck that somehow is not shown. I mean, I guess she
Yeah,
was like hiding behind, but I feel like he would have been like, "Okay, can I see all of you? Can I see what's
no
going
bites, no
on here?"
scratches.
Yeah, like I feel like he wouldn't take any chances at that point. The whole point was he was like trying to save his friend, and now uh, he didn't even get explained to the fact that maybe Doyle did earlier in the film, like
I
right
doubt it.
before the helicopter chopping up the zombies, but he doesn't even know that they're like a potential for the cure. And also, who cares? The whole point was like before this had happened, the new outbreak, they were all gone. Like the infected had died and starved. There's no risk of any like outbreak happening again. Why did we need that kid to be the cure?
Yeah, it
Um,
would have made more sense if I thought the twist was going to be like they claim that all the zombies are dead, right? And then the kids break out of the quarantine zone and they go out there and they find that there are still very much zombies around.
mhm.
I thought that's what it was going to be. But it just seems like, yeah, all of the zombies are genuinely dead. We don't have to worry about reinfection unless you keep this one carrier alive.
Yeah,
Low
and
key,
then
Idris Elba was based for that. I was like, yeah, I would if I can kill one person and eradicate a disease that is potentially like earth shattering. I don't know. Maybe I would. I think so.
right. Well, he said the thing too. He was like, "Study her when she's dead" or something. I was like, "Geez, he doesn't care a
He's
lick."
not messing around, man.
Ready to get rid of him. But then yeah, the carrier kid goes out, and it's like, did they not have the discussion? Like she saw the thing around his eyes, but it was like blocked and everything. She also saw him get bit. Like, did they not want to bring up the fact that yeah, he's like he should be infected, but he's okay right now. Um, we should just make sure like he doesn't bleed on anyone, and also that we don't share the same toothbrush or something. Like,
Hmm.
how did the infection spread after that point? Like, what happened with the kid that it spread?
Spit on somebody.
Yeah, like what's going on? So I
Somebody
don't
went
know.
to
I just
clean his infection and just got blood on him.
maybe I don't know, but that just all felt very silly as well. All just to lead to what was an epic final shot, of course, of
Yeah.
all the infected running around Paris. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't buy a lot of that stuff. So, how many helicopter blade decapitations out of five for you?
I'm giving it 2.5.
I also give it 2.5.
Just very entertaining, but the plot's not all there like the first one. But still, the zombie action is still on point here.
Very true. Very, very true.
Always down for some zombies.
All right, now 28 years later, Boyle and Garland come back. Garland writing, Boyle directing, and came back with a new filmmaking approach. They did the DV cameras the first time around. Now they were shooting on iPhones. Of course,
Interesting
with
take.
very specialized and advanced rigs, but iPhones nonetheless were incorporated. Um, what were your thoughts on this one, Dylan?
Um, my least favorite.
Least favorite, really?
Yeah. Um, I thought it was poorly written. I thought I didn't care about the characters, and I thought that any kind of emotional climax they were trying to get me to, I didn't reach. And at the very least, even though 28 weeks later, I think also similarly has a lot of those plot failings, it at least has cool zombie action, whereas I don't think there's nearly enough zombie action in this one.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So disappointing to me.
I have a much more positive view on it.
Hmm.
Again, it wasn't a masterpiece that the trailer led me to believe it was going to be.
Yeah.
Again, phenomenal trailer
Dude,
that it had,
one of the best.
truly. So going into it, I was very pumped. I had heard there were some like divisive reactions to it, but most of the time that only makes me more compelled by a film. So I was still going in with fairly high hopes. And I will say it delivered on, the stylism of that first film. I think this one was able to like recapture that, continue it, but also add a lot of new things into the mix. Um, Gonna name some of the few here, like when they're running across the causeway,
Hmm.
we have the like starry sky backdrop that's there. You can
Yeah.
see the galaxies and everything there, and then just the splashes of the water.
It's cool.
Like that was incredible. They introduced this new thing. I wonder if you were a big fan of it or not. The like bullet time type deal where
I did think that was cool. Yeah.
someone
I thought
got
that was
like
cool for the arrow
zombie got
impacts.
headshotted, and then we
Yeah.
see it
It
does
like
like a
moves
180
around
around
them.
its
Yeah.
head. Yeah,
I thought that was pretty sick.
I thought that was very cool. They've got some like night vision, but it's blood red. And then they had a lot of intercutting of archival type footage of soldiers shooting or marching or archers drawing in the same way that our kid Spike is doing in the present day. Which that part, I don't know that it fully worked for me, but
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to say with that. Are they trying to say that like it's in their blood and it's like what they've done through all time and will do for the rest of time? The English have always been warriors.
I don't know. I think it's probably more broader point about humanity and violence and stuff like that, and like war and fighting and in the first film, someone
Then why are they all British? Why is it
one
all
guy
gods
says
of British
something
people?
where he's like, "Oh, the past 4 weeks, it's been people killing people," and that's the same thing. It's been the 4 weeks before that and 4 weeks before that. So this, I think, is just trying to tie it into a longer history of like, oh, there's always like these people getting together fighting. There's enemies and opposition and whatnot. But I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's pretty clear cut. Like the infected are definitely going to try and kill and eat and do whatever to the humans. So I mean, they gotta fight back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have a lot of those stylized things coming through, which I thought were great, always very entertaining. Um, and then we have this story, this coming of age story of this kid that's living close to the main lands, connected by that little causeway.
Hmm.
And his father is trying to go take him on the first expedition so he can start becoming a hunter and all that.
Yeah.
And then it morphs into him bringing his sick mother to try and find a doctor
Hmm.
to heal her. So, with our young lad Spike, you didn't care about his character at all?
No.
Coming of age story?
I think my problem is it turns into a like mother son story for like the emotional climax of it, but
Hmm.
the mom is barely in like the first 45 minutes. I think that father son expedition takes too long. And they're using that as a way to like kind of like reset your expectation of what the world building is and kind of explain away the last 28 years, like what it's going to look like and stuff. But I just I can't care about their relationship if I spend the first 45 minutes following the son and the father and then the father's just not in the rest of the movie. I think there's too much of a divide between his story with his father and his story with his mother when I think they should have intermingled the two throughout the film to make it like more emotionally compelling. Because I just don't
Right.
know anything about Jodie Comer at all by the time the two of them reach the mainland. I don't know anything about their dynamic. I don't know anything about their relationship, and there's very few things that I found emotionally compelling about them, except for I think the only scene that I thought was emotionally compelling is when they're in the field and she is like remembering the angel that's out there, and she like remembers her father taking her there, and she talks about her father.
Mm.
But everything else is like, I don't know, man. There's just too many plot issues going on that just get in the way, and then because there's such little zombie action, I get so bored.
Yeah, the concerns that I had with the the turn that it makes to now be Spike bringing his mom along to the mainland,
Hmm.
I could see what they were trying to do. I could see they were trying to
Yeah.
get you invested in Spike and his mom's relationship, where she's obviously freaking out, cares a lot about him, and is like,
Hmm.
"Don't send him off to the mainland." And then he wraps it up like he's the one that calms her down, basically
Hmm.
gives her a piece of bacon, and then he's reassuring her, "Oh, I'm just going to school."
Hmm.
So we see
It
that.
also sets up her like her health issues as well, which I
Yeah,
think at first I was like thinking the dialogue is pretty clunky and expositiony, but I think they can get away with it because she has those memory issues, which I think is fine.
yeah, and then he obviously runs back after seeing his dad fooling around with some random girl. He's upset by that. He runs back and uh, like goes into bed with
Why do they
his
do
mom,
that?
and they spend the
Why?
night. What
Why does he have to cheat? Why?
was the dad? I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
it's all just, I guess, an effort of Spike being like, "Wow, my dad is not who I thought he was. I need to
Hmm.
go and go out on my own now." As part of the coming of age, he's like,
I
can't
guess.
depend on anyone anymore. Um, so they try and do that. I can see like those are that's the purpose of what those scenes are, is to establish Spike's like deep caring for the mom.
Yeah.
But it's just tough because that's comparatively brief to, as you said, all the stuff that we see on the mainland with the father and the son.
Hmm.
And then
Which is
I just
so
think it's really
long.
tough to get invested in her and her character when so much of it is her being like loopy and
Yeah.
fragmented memories and all this. It's like,
There's not enough of her like having moments of clarity.
yeah,
I need her
that
to
we
have
can
more
latch
moments
on.
of clarity where she can like be more because at the very end, right before she dies, she's fully like clear and is speaking to Spike with an incredible amount of clarity that she hasn't had the entire fucking movie. Except for the one moment where she like snaps out of it and kills a zombie to protect Spike for some reason. Whatever. But I don't know why they waited until the very end of her character's journey to let her have the moment of clarity when she could have had moments throughout. Like, I don't think her brain cancer had eaten her brain so much that she never has a moment of clarity. I don't think that was the message they were trying to go for.
Right. So that was one thing that made it difficult, is ultimately, yeah, the emotional core of the film is supposed to be Spike and the mom's relationship. It was
Which
hard
could have been
to
compelling. It could have been
buy
very
into
compelling.
that. And then second, him making the choice to like up and leave town and take his mom. I just don't know that I believe Spike would do that and would even believe in his own ability to protect his mom in the mainland after
Yeah.
what happened when he was there with his father. Because part of the reason he's upset with his dad too is like, oh, my dad's lying to the town about me being able to be a hero basically and
Yeah.
take out all these zombies. He's like, I didn't do that. I was scared. I couldn't do that. So why does he now believe, if he doesn't have his dad with him to protect him, and if he now has to protect someone who's not going to have any clarity and not going to be of use in fighting the
Mhm.
zombies, how does he possibly expect that he's going to be able to make that work? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't believe that he would have like taken that risk. And it's like, oh, I'm going to put my mom in danger this way. I know he's desperate, but we either needed a higher level of desperation that like she's about to like be donezo and this is the last chance, or he needed to go and do more training with his dad, um, for the purpose of like, okay, I'm going to prep myself so I can save my mom. And then him and the dad are, the dad thinks, oh, he's learning, he's doing great, oh, my boy. But Spike really secretly is like, yeah, screw you, dad, I'm just doing this so I can save my mom that you refuse to do.
Mhm.
Something like that, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, so it was just tough to believe him taking his mom and going out as far as
Mhm.
like a plot believability. And then it was hard to buy into the actual emotional core that they wanted us to, of
Absolutely.
Spike and the mom. That being said,
Mhm.
spoilers are coming towards the end here, when there's that whole discussion at the end of the revelation of the cancer, and then Ray finds is like memento amoris, like
Memento
remembering love
mori.
as well. Um, like him trying to help Spike basically go through this terrible traumatic experience of losing someone he loves, and having to make peace with that death. I thought that was pretty beautiful. Him climbing the skull
Mm,
tower and then placing his mother's skull on
nah,
top,
I'm
which
gonna go with
tough
no.
day for the kid. Very tough day where he's placing two skulls of people he had just been talking to earlier that day.
Yeah,
But he like places
nah,
it on the top of the pile, and the sunrise is happening, and then he like turns the head towards the sunrise so that they can like watch it together. I was like, dang, like that.
nah.
That was pretty good.
Nope.
Had I obviously been more invested emotionally, it would have hit much harder. But
Yeah.
I could see that being like a very strong and compassionate way to just have this kid learn this really brutal lesson.
Mm,
Um, so I thought that element like worked again on paper, and then with all the filmmaking techniques they used, like it did work. That was the part that made me the most emotional throughout the film. But yeah, it just wasn't quite the massive payoff that I would have wanted it to be because we didn't have enough of that investment earlier on.
why brain cancer? Why? I have an issue with the fact that when he reveals that it's brain cancer, that it seems like it's cancer that has spread and most likely got into her brain. Why does she have a moment of clarity where she says, "Yeah, I figured that's what it was. We all kind of figured that's what it was." It defeats the purpose of Spike's entire mission. If everybody kind of already knew, then why did they even go? Why
Yeah,
didn't they just tell Spike at any
and she
point,
even
"Hey,
said,
tough conversation. It seems like your mom is very sick. We think it's probably cancer. It looks like she doesn't have much longer." Like the whole point of him taking her to a doctor is they were telling Spike they didn't know what it was, and he was hoping that she could get better. If they had said it's inoperable and it's terminal and there's nothing you can do, I don't think he would ever go on that mission to go to the doctor. I don't think he would even try because you would just accept that that's the case and let nature run its course,
right,
which is what he does at the end of the movie because he's told, "Hey, there's nothing you can do about this. Like she's going to die. That is death. You must accept it." And it's
he was
like so he
hopped up
chose.
on a morphine concoction, so he couldn't do anything if he
Yeah.
wanted to.
The only reason he wasn't able to get that acceptance before going on this journey is simply because they didn't have the conversation that it was probably cancer, which they already figured. Nothing about the journey made him change his mind about accepting her death. It was only that revelation that did, which is something they could have told him beforehand, which defeats the purpose of the journey for me.
Right. She had even said she was like, "Oh, I should have told you earlier, I guess."
Yeah, yeah, what the fuck? Yeah. It's just stupid. It defeats the entire purpose of that entire second half of the movie. It gives me no emotional climax whatsoever, and I don't care that she dies and that he puts her skull on the top of the mountain and faces it towards the sun. Because he was always going to have to say goodbye, and everybody knew that except for him, and they didn't tell him why. And that's why he goes on this journey. And then he just that revelation is the only thing that makes him accept her death, which is just dumb. Had it been that they didn't know it was cancer and they were also hoping that she could get better, maybe. If they had made it something that like is potentially curable, but then for some unknown apocalyptic reason they can't cure it. Like the doctor like says like I could try, but it just there's nothing that would work. Like there's nothing that'll ever happen.
Right.
And like literally if they just didn't know what it was. If they why did she admit that she figured that's what it was and should have said something earlier? It's just stupid. Didn't like it.
I mean, yeah. No. I mean, it's even written in the script that she's like, "Oh, I should have said this," but
Yeah.
for some unknown reason they didn't, or because again she thought he was too young
Yeah.
to understand it and everything. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Definitely a lapse in the strength of the writing there.
Yeah. Ryan, thoughts on the developments of the world building and vis-a-vis zombies? Addition of alphas, the bloated ones, and then pregnant zombies. Thoughts about these developments?
I thought they were all pretty compelling, pretty cool. Again, I don't know about the science of like how the alphas are now
Mm-hmm.
existing. And he mentions like, oh, I guess something acts like a steroid. Uh, sure, I guess, but I
Sure.
mean, it makes sense that they would start working in packs and everything. But the fact that
Sure.
now there's like just physically larger and faster and stronger,
That
like it
motherfucker's
takes
huge.
a freaking
A tank.
flaming spear pretty much to kill the one that was on the causeway.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it just makes for more zombie fun, I guess, more varied zombies and whatnot.
Yeah. I think
But
that's fine. I don't understand how a zombie can be pregnant with a baby that is not a zombie.
The magic of the placenta, Dylan.
Yeah, apparently. Now, I think maybe they'll explain it better in the sequels. Potentially, they might bring the baby back, supposedly, but I don't. Is it supposed to be the circle of life? I guess I just don't understand. Did the alpha get the zombie pregnant, or was the zombie pregnant before she became a zombie, and the baby stayed,
We
just
don't
didn't
know.
turn into a zombie?
We have no idea.
Because it seemed to me like when the alpha picked up the dead pregnant zombie, it seemed like he recognized it as if he had impregnated it
Right.
with that very long penis of his.
I was waiting for when I was gonna get brought up.
Also, forgot to mention, dude, Killian Murphy is serving dong in the first one.
Okay. He'll need to go dong for dong with the alphas in the next
No,
film.
you can't.
He's getting
You absolutely can't.
completely eclipsed here.
Yeah, absolutely. But in the first one, that's impressive for like just a random zombie movie. I mean, he's the lead, I guess, but to whip out your whole dong for it in a very very revealing way. Like it's not like side angle or shadowy. It's just full flat on shot of just his wang just showing, bro.
Yeah,
It's quite literally ballsy.
indeed. They upped the ante, I guess, with 28
Yeah.
years later. They said, how can we put more
Yeah.
in this
Anyway,
film?
not a fan of the pregnant zombie.
You were not a fan. You were not a fan of when the mom, in a moment of clarity, reached out her hands, and then the zombie, in a moment of clarity, reached out her hands, clasped them together so that she
No.
could help her through childbirth.
No. Because I don't understand what that means, and I presume they're going to explain it in a later movie of like scientifically where these zombies are at now and how they differ from our preconception of zombies. And I'm annoyed that they didn't do it in this movie because it just makes me more confused, and I don't understand. It's like set up for the next movie. A lot of this movie is set up for Spike and his character in the world for the next movies without any explanation, and so there's not a lot of resolution in what I'm thinking. And so
Right.
I want to know more, and they didn't answer those questions, and it's frustrating.
I see. I don't know that they'll explain how she got pregnant or why she's
You don't think
pregnant or
they'll
why the
explain
baby
like
isn't
the
infected.
zombie culture in the next ones? You don't
Probably
think they'll
not.
elaborate upon that? How they've evolved to give birth and to have moments of clarity like that?
Well, I don't know that's
Or why the
evolving. They're
alphas
just
have
people.
clarity? Because
They're
it seems like the
humans.
alphas have clarity.
They're everything a person is, but they're just hopped up on a rage virus. So I mean, it's not
But
like
then
their
why can
sexual
they
organs
exist
have
for so
changed.
long? That's another question I have. Is in this 28 weeks later, they say they starved and are now dead. But now the island of Britain, which hypothetically didn't have anybody on it except for those survivors at the time of 28 weeks later, is now populated with zombies and survivors. How did those zombies live for 28 years?
They were eating worms and deer.
Why didn't they do that in 28 weeks later then? Are you saying that they ate all of the worms and deer before 20 weeks later, but then after 28 weeks later, the worms and deer repopulated to a massive extent to where they could
In
last for 28
28
years?
days later.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be a good question. Who knows? Maybe the virus had evolved, or they got smarter, or in London
But
there
who
were
is
no
on
animals. So,
England? Are they saying that during 28 weeks later, there are no zombies anymore in Britain, but there are still survivors out in the quarantine zone?
yes,
Okay.
I think.
Okay. But then how can there be so many zombies in 28 years later? Did more people just keep showing up to the British Isles? Did they push the zombies back from continental Europe into the British Isles? Why not just kill them? Why not just nuke all of Britain?
Never talked to you.
If you're more willing to just resign the survivors to a population, like a small population where they are pretty much torturing each other for existence, why not just nuke the whole country instead of having them exist in hell?
Yeah,
Why keep it under observation?
it's a
Aren't you
good
risking?
question. I mean, what really is the big plot hole here that they're going to have to try and answer is at the end of 28 weeks later, the infection goes to Europe. How are they able to get it out of Europe
They said that
without
in
the
the
rest of the
opening
world
title
responding?
cards. They said all of the zombies.
Yeah, it was beaten back from continental Europe.
Yeah.
And this is where 28 months later comes into play. They
Okay.
can do another movie, do a little prequel there to explain that. Because,
It's just a
yeah, the Emperor.
geopolitical thriller that doesn't even take place on Britain, just discussing the politics of what they're going to do with the island. I would
No,
appreciate
I
that.
would be
I
so
would
down for
appreciate
that.
some
Yeah.
clarity.
I would love that.
I would appreciate
Um,
like it's like members of the EU gathering together and deciding what to do with Europe or what to do with the British Isles. I'd be
right.
down. I'd be down for
Because
that
yeah,
because I would
it
like that
just
explanation as to
because they
why they
took the
decided
kid.
to leave
I
it
guess
alone as like a quarantine zone.
some infected could have just still been on Britain, but the
Okay.
kid is taken off.
Yeah.
Presumably goes to continental Europe,
Yep.
where
He goes to France. He goes right over
oh,
the cliffs of Dover straight to France.
France gets infected. But if Paris, a city of millions of people, gets infected, how in the world could they have possibly beaten it back? Like it's either we eradicate the infection or we all die. How could they have pushed back the infected out of continental Europe
Dude, nuclear
and not
fallout in Paris. They
not
they
be able to
nuke
do that in
Paris.
Britain? Like just go in with a squad and just start like taking out the
Dude,
infected there.
let's write 28 months later.
Maybe that's what'll happen in Bone Temple or the next films. They'll have someone invade the island and take it over or whatnot. Who knows?
Let's write 28 months later, dude. That would be so
28
cool.
minutes later, let's do it. Let's go.
It's 28 minutes after 28 weeks later ends. Paris is currently being overrun, and they have to decide whether or not to nuke it.
Oh God, that's how they do it. They just nuke France, bro.
Yep. They
Nuke all of
nuke Paris. Paris is destroyed. They push all the remaining zombies back onto the British Isles, and then they decide to quarantine it off instead of nuking Europe because the fallout from Paris has been too great, and they don't want to risk further nuclear exposure to the atmosphere. Or
Low
something
key,
like
that's
that.
probably that works out because
Yeah,
they'd be like, "Why are we going to destroy part of the environment, all the emissions that would
yeah.
go everywhere, all
We
the
can't possibly have
radiation?"
another like the nuclear fallout from nuking the entire like British Isles would be vast.
Yeah, but okay, that makes sense. Any 28 years later items you want to bring up?
Just found it boring. Didn't enjoy it. The ending though, is the beginning and the ending are the most compelling parts, and I am looking forward to the next movie. I'm hoping there's more zombie action, and I hope Jack O'Connell has so much fun playing that character. It's just
Dude,
such a bizarre way to end that film, which is like mostly serious in
Teletubbies.
tone, and then it ends with like the Power Ranger Jimmys coming out and beating up zombies and the big blonde wigs. It's awesome.
Yeah, I
Great way
thought
to
that
end
was
it.
great. I love that part. I'm so down for it. Again, I'm down for more stuff in this world. I think it's very compelling. I always love the little
I just want more
stories they
zombie
do here.
fights. I want more zombie fights, and I want things to be crazy.
Yeah, I mean they were crazy. I also like the soldier character that they had, who again
Yeah,
apparently is just
he had
like again
moments.
the world has gone on as normal.
Yeah,
Internet's around, iPhones are around, OnlyFans and lip filler is around apparently.
dude, he just
His
like.
girlfriend.
Could you imagine getting marooned on this island? And you're like, well, I guess I'm dead now. Like I signed up for the military. They put me on this duty. We ran aground, and I am now on a quarantine island, and they will never let me off. I'm dead now. I'm going to die here,
Yeah,
dude.
brutal. They didn't really explore that. He was just a comic relief kind of character, but I thought it was
Yeah,
great.
I wish they had
It had a
explored
nice,
that more. I wish he was having like panic attacks and stuff, and like freaking the fuck out because he was just like chilling.
yeah. He's like I should have been in a delivery driver,
Yeah,
and that was the extent of it. But no, I thought it was cool. I thought it had a good dynamic.
I thought he was okay.
And so yeah, that's pretty much everything. I'm looking forward to Bone Temple,
I'm also looking forward to Bone Temple. Any more Killian Murphy? He's supposed to come back.
and in this very next one,
Yeah,
or the next Danny Boyle and Garland one. I don't know why they wouldn't have had him come back in the Boyle and Garland because the
he's
next
coming
one's
back.
written by Garland, and then Nia
Yeah,
DaCosta is doing
yes.
it.
According to Danny Boyle, Killian Murphy will be in the next one in a small part, and then if they get greenlit to do the third one, it will be about Killian Murphy.
Let's go. So we need this to do well.
Yep,
We need that next one to do well. Um, okay, how many skull towers out of 5?
two,
2.
two.
That's crazy. I'm giving it 3 skull towers out of 5.
The only one of the three that I did not find entertaining.
Dang.
I did think Danny Boyle's filmmaking skills, especially for the fact that they were using iPhones, even though, of course, if you look at the rigs, they are iPhones that have been geared out to the max. I still think is very innovative and very cool what he was doing here. So I appreciate it for that. But other than that, I thought it was atrociously written and
Dang.
undeniably boring.
Wow. Brutal.
Yeah, unfortunate. Anyway, that is all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
Our main title theme for the show is Sundown by Joseph McDade.
And if you like the show, please give us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you're listening to, and be sure to tune in next week. Have a great rest of your day.